Welcome to the bold analysis. Rigathi Gachagua is in Seattle. I've gotten the pronunciation well. He's in Seattle for a political tour just during the US tour. And we understand, according to his itinerary, is that he will actually leave on Sunday, then make his way to Boston, still in the USA. In this podcast, we look at the political mission, the 2-hour meeting with the Abagusii community, of course, after having a range of other meetings. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our videos. And thank you very much for our subscribers in Seattle, the US, who were really updating us about what's happening the other end. Guys, I still want to take this time to say thank you very much for supporting our Mbere mission, where we are putting up a house for this lady here, Faith Wambui, a mother of 5 who suffered postpartum depression, lost her job, the husband left, and now was forced to live in this structure. And we came through, and I thank God that I mobilized you guys, that we came together to put up a house for Wambui, and this is the level it has reached. This is so far it has reached now. But before I leave, we are going back there on Saturday. Of course, I left David to do just to spearhead the rest of the work that is going on, but we still need this part to complete. I got hold of the daughter here, who's in Form 3. We want to buy school, we want to pay her school fees, both Form 3 and Form 4, this time, and of course next year. And then apart from that, another need that we established that we also wanted to meet coming this weekend is this boy here, Munene. Munene is in junior secondary school. He actually doesn't have uniform. The uniform is putting on hata hiyo ninatoka now primary. So we are also looking into getting him 2 pairs of uniform and then pair of shoes, so that atakienda shule pia tuweze. Then apart from that, we also have the little girl there, Joy. Joy, we are also getting Joy a pair of shoe and 2 pairs of uniform. All this we want to hand over on Saturday. When we give the house, we hand over the house and also the other beddings that are needed. And I want to say thank you. So those who are already pledging to reach out, we will actually completing on Saturday, so you can still partake into this. Ladies and gentlemen, Rigathi's absence in the Kenyan political space was to create a space to test the muscles of the remaining opposition figures in the country. And I think yesterday, the impromptu rally in Kiambu town by the leaders after attending the burial in Dumberi was a clear testament that they're up to the task. I also saw another team led by Medu in Kajiado County. They are also in Kajiado, and I saw they got a very big reception in Kajiado. But now, while in the US, Rigathi Gachagua met with Abagusii, a group of Abagusii community, of course professionals from the Abagusii community, who we understand were very pivotal in organizing the dinner meeting that Matiang'i had in US before flying back in the country just to join his team for the opposition politics. So this has been it, and we are going to look at the details of that meeting and what Rigathi then wants to achieve in the next general election. And I want to tell you that part will be very critical, so make sure you watch to the end. Of course, one of the things when he arrived in Seattle was he attended the first edition of Ngemi Siariaya. Guy, I am not a Kikuyu. I might get that pronunciation wrong, but please just get it. That is the best I could deliver. It is a festival. It is a cultural festival, cultural heritage festival that was graced by Mother Karua, of course, among the political leaders, and musicians Samido and Baby Top, a radio presenter who also accompanied Rigathi Gachagua during that trip, and really you could feel the one-term vibe in Seattle.
Ruto must go. Ruto must go. Ruto must go. Namna hiyo. I'll call my younger brother, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua.
Haya. Wanasema Kasongo aende, Kasongo aende. Harambee. Wewe Ruto. Wewe Kasongo. Kani kuona watu wetu. Na nikiona nyinyi nasikia roho yangu inadudaduda. Mukagitanira. Mugatwaranaga. Mukaiguanira tha. Mukamenyanirira. Tondu twi kindu kimwe. Niguo andu aitu. Nĩ mũgũikara mwendanĩte tũmũtindĩke harambee na thayũ.
Now, after this meeting, actually, Rigathi was criticized of that he was in the US and he's only meeting the members of the Gikuyu community. But his handlers actually saying that that is not the thing. The thing is that they have been inviting even others. They've been actually inviting Kenyans, especially when he's having those town hall meetings. So he had town hall meetings with Kenyan Diaspora community in Seattle. Of course, that Diaspora meeting brought together all others, all other Kenyans, and it was not restricted to Gikuyu community as had widely been reported in the media space. But of course, you'll understand, he could be having, remember the trip had been organized largely by Mama Dorcas Rigathi, and I think in this podcast, we have been crediting her for standing around the gentleman, especially during his downest moments. Rigathi convened, and I want us to look at this. Rigathi convened a meeting with the members of Abagusii, and I want us to analyze more about this, and let's just look at what they shared, especially after the meeting, because it's going to give us just a feel of what we need to look at. That is actually the last meeting that he convened. Before then, as he makes his way to Boston. Now, this is it. This evening, I had the pleasure of meeting and having a candid discussion with my cousins from Abagusii community in Seattle, Washington. I am glad that they understand the challenges our country is undergoing and their commitment to supporting positive change. It's motivating to see our community members come together with a constant hope and a shared desire to contribute to a better nation. Yeah, if you look at the photos, they're not so many. They were actually the numbers, they called me the numbers of around 15 or so. Then they say up to the other end, it was a number of probably about 20. And this was actually a breakfast meeting. I saw one of these persons here that I know. I need to get his name. Douglas. Yes, Douglas there, of course. And he had this meeting. So I want us to look at the details of this because, of course, this was a breakaway from what the media had reported, that Rigathi Gachagua was only meeting the Gikuyu community. You can take it away from him, but I think in terms of mobilizing, and of course mobilizing even resources, it will be very critical. So some of the aspects that has come out of that meeting is Rigathi Gachagua, some of the factors, and I remember guys, when I was telling you that you needed to just give me some questions that Rigathi would be asked. Yeah, some of those questions found their way in this meeting. Yes, they found their way in these meetings. When I was asking you that, we were talking to some of the organizers that at the end, so that we just find out what they are saying or what they are asking about it. And we got in contact with some of them here who then just took some of the questions, and I asked so many. I should get my phone to say asked so many, but then this is what is it. Number one thing is Rigathi committed to the Abagusii that he is not a sole candidate for the opposition to face President William Ruto. I know one of the factors that was at the center of this trip is probably Rigathi's boosting profile and the temptation for him to present his candidature at this critical time. But of course, I join those who say that that should have not been the position at this time. I think it will give it a little bit more of, it will need a big heavy lifting if Rigathi himself is to present himself for candidature. And he's actually committing that while the coalition is bringing all the others together, but they will settle on one candidate. And whoever is going to be picked, of course, because the audience from the Abagusii were really pushing for Rigathi to come out and probably just endorse one of them as the candidate and endorse Matiang'i as the candidate. But Rigathi was short of making that and saying they are going to take one position, whoever is going to be picked. And I think that was the position. The second question, and this is a question that I had, I think, when I asked you guys to tell us what you think that Rigathi should be asked, and this came from us, is how he intends to consolidate Mount Kenya vote, which is a very critical vote in 2027, if they are perceived to not be together with former President Uhuru Kenyatta. And in one of these engagements, he's actually confirming that contrary to the media perception and the reports of a bad blood with the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, they believe that they have a shared vision to tailor and make sure that the candidate that opposition gonna support, whether it will be against either of them choice, but they will rally behind that. It is very important, and I think I was actually telling one of the contact persons there that it is very important for the 2027 general election for Rigathi Gachagua to work with Uhuru Kenyatta, irrespective of who is the candidate. And in this video, I'm going to explain that. It is very important for the two gentlemen to work together, because while Rigathi Gachagua can marshal the voices of the young people, of course, can marshal the people that are crying, and he can now go back to do the political articulation. Contrary to that, Uhuru Kenyatta may not come out this time, unlike in 2022, he may not come out to want to address Mount Kenya. If he tries that, I think he's going to face a big backlash from a lot of attack, unnecessary attack from the state side, because the state will say that, you know what, you're pushing tribalism and you're making the country, ungovernable and this and that. So, but the person who will do this, unrelentingly is actually Rigathi Gachagua. So Rigathi committed to this, that indeed they have a bit of that. The other takeout from the meeting, which are the three that I wanted to look at because we are still going to develop the story moving forward, is a joint resource mobilization committee to support the opposition campaigns. Campaign financing is a big problem in these elections 2027, guys. And I want to tell you, because the president and the state are using money. And I'm just saying, we are just 2 years to an election, and you can look at the kind of money being poured in the streets. Wamamboga there, a church is being built there. There are a lot of money that is being put. And so this is a tool that is at their disposal. And because they've already rendered the masses vulnerable, high poverty levels, they might come back the last hours, the messiahs of the moment, with lots of money. Being that also, if you look at the young people that are in the streets, their real demand is about money. I've been saying that is it. The real demand is about unemployment. And that is why the 2027 campaign needs a lot of money. Sometimes I looked at what Maraga is saying, and I think with all due respect, Maraga should just back Matiang'i. Yes. He's not a bad candidate, but he's a bit fringe in terms of our political ecosystem. Our political ecosystem has not grown to a level to accommodate the candidature of Maraga. It's one of the best candidatures, but its adoptability in our space is not still promising. I saw him saying he's going to run public appeals and he's going to contribute only 2 million. I just don't know how that is going to be possible, but we are still not to the level of taking. I wish akuja aseme Kalonzo tosha, Matiang'i tosha, Rigathi tosha, or Ruto tosha, whoever he thinks. Now, what do you think Rigathi wants to achieve in the next election? He's working tirelessly. In fact, if you are new to the Kenyan politics and you did not follow Rigathi from the time of swearing in, you might actually think and take it that Rigathi is the candidate. Ako US, anangana na Gema, meet Abagusii. When he's back in the country, he's in Wamunyoro, he's in a rally there, there's another church service there, there is a press briefing by DCP. Rigathi is really making himself, he's really building his profile. So what exactly do you think he wants to achieve? That is a question that I'm always asked. So today, let me respond in this way. Number one, the first thing Rigathi wants to do is to revive the relevance of Mount Kenya vote. And allow me to analyze it this way. People who really understand this will buy my point that the Mount Kenya vote is being made irrelevant by the divisions and ethnic rhetorics. I've been saying, people think that the state is running Kikuyu isolation just to attack Rigathi, to target Rigathi. But in real sense, it is the Gema nation. And the political establishment knows that that is a big number, and they need to destroy that number. William Ruto wanted that by the time he gets to 2027 general election, that number is not a block. And remember, an attempt by Rigathi Gachagua to bring together, to even make these MPs to work under him. By then, people think it was a bad idea. But if Ndindi Nyoros and Ichungwas would have accepted to work under Rigathi, and of course, and even the Moses Kuria, and avoid the other unnecessary fights by that time, they would have really made it easy. Even at the time impeachment was happening, if Gema Nation would come and support Rigathi Gachagua, that would have been an eye-opener. But how they got out, fell for the Ruto's trap, someone say Ruto millions, and they accepted to get done with Rigathi Gachagua, they exposed themselves. And now, it is just some few people being given money to move with choppers, either you're at Kindiki or Farouk Kibet here and there, but not so much. And no language about what is in it for us. The second issue, I think, the second achievement he wants is to brand the DCP as official opposition lead, opposition party. That works. You lose an election, you look for a deal there, deal here, there is a rerun, you are in the table. You'll actually make yourself being in the table. Remember, what impeachment was to achieve is to push Rigathi out of the table. Now, Rigathi just wants to go back in the table. And by the way, as he waits for the big table in 2027, he's already created a small opposition table where he's sitting there cutting the cake. And I think that is it. The other issue is the DCP party. If this party could win major seats in Mount Kenya, then that would give them an impetus probably to get back to the presidential seat sometime later. Thank you.